Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for being so patient. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. It wasn't me that was late. It was the sitter that was late. I vote that the CEO starts the show for you. Oh God, we would never get started if that was the case. It'd be like crazy work to even get us going. Welcome, everybody. I'm letting the people get in here. Let me out there. Welcome. Y'all hit the like button, please. And thank you. We live. We live now. We live now. Welcome. I haven't even had the first drink of my coffee yet. So I hope it's like on point because if not, then I'm going to be very sad. Welcome, everybody. Oh my gosh. All these tabs open. That's not good. I need to take, the year just started, guys. And I already like have a mess on my desktop. What day are we in? The 18th. Happy New Year's. I'll still say it. Happy New Year's. It is the 18th of the year. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everyone. We live. So I'm assuming that the Seahawks took it home yesterday. We live now. Are the Seahawks? Look at everybody's like celebrating. Let me see what happened yesterday. I'm not a football person, so excuse me if I don't know. Hopefully, you guys will tell me in the chat. Let's see. What happened last night? Did the Seahawks win last night against? Oh, yes, they did. Oh, dang. Wow. 6-41. Well, 6-41. Unlucky number 13. Welcome, everybody. We have a lot of Seahawks fans in my family, believe it or not. So you said, oh, I was gonna say, I was like, Rodin, what happened? We have some family from Seattle, so yeah, we do have some Seahawks fans, and then I have family, in San Francisco. So we got some of the Niners, and then so I'm like in the middle, because I can't. It is what it is. But hey, you said don't you mean the football happening? Oh, Bad Bunny. Isn't he doing like the halftime show? I think he already did a preview of it. So I haven't even watched it, honestly. I've been so busy. Welcome, everybody. The Seahawks destroyed the Niners. Look at you guys. I'm not even going to pretend that I know what football's at. All I know is that I like the Seahawks colors. I like the Niners too. I don't know. It is what it is. Hey, Shoot for the Stars. How are you? Shout out to you, Shoot for the Stars. I haven't seen you in a minute. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so let's get it together, guys, because we have some topics to run through for sure. Okay, shout out to everybody in the chat. Good morning. I hope you guys brought your coffee, your water, your tea, your Kahlua. If you're drinking Kahlua so early in the morning, shout out to you. What else? Your happy hour drink. If it's not even happy hour, it's happy hour somewhere. But if it's, I'm just saying. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Now, let me just say this. The YouTubes are not liking me right now. They're literally restricting my videos. And so they restricted the one that I did last night, which I was like, why? I didn't even say anything wrong. I don't know if it's anything with Busfield that is immediately restricted. And then, of course, they restricted the Sasha Riley, which I understood that one. So please note that. But I don't know. So there's some restrictions happening. Or it's either that or they're reporting us. One of the two. It is what it is. You said you're drinking Diet Coke, Mark? I was addicted to Diet Coke for the longest time. And then I stopped. But that was like headache inducing when I stopped. I was like, I'll never do Diet Coke again. I went from Diet Coke to Coke Zero, and I'm like, they're both probably not very good for me anyway. So I stopped with the Coke. Every once in a while I crave a Coke, but not all the time. Okay, let me see. You said kava and THC combo. Ooh, you talk about kava? Like kava, like the hard drink from the Islanders? Is that what you're talking about? And you said THC combo. And look, you specifically separated the letters because you knew it was going to get flagged if you said that. Girl, shout out to you. You are one strong woman. Thank you so much, Tinkle Tits. Thank you. Monetizing dollaroos. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for the love. Kava root. Okay. Kava root. Cave, isn't that hard? I don't know. To me, kava is like the equivalent of moonshine. So, I probably shouldn't have said moonshine. My bad. My bad. Sorry. Sorry, YouTube. This is educational content for commentary purposes. We are here to commentate. Shoot for the stars. Thank you so much for the $4.99. Always a pleasure watching you, love. Well, thank you, Shoot for the stars. I hope you're doing well. Shout out to you, my love. You said the moment you stop coffee, I'm unfriending you because I will not put myself through that kind of pain. Let's never, never. It's in the blood. Vicky, it is in the blood. I cannot stop coffee. No, I cannot. All right. Let's get it together, guys, because we have some stuff to review. And why don't we go ahead and start with Nick Reiner? So the New York Times did a piece. We still have a subscription to the New York Times. Yes, we do. I don't know, but it is what it is. Let's see. Hold up. Let me pull it real quick. Da-da-da. So many articles that I have up. Okay. So this broke, I think, what was it? The 16th, the 15th. So was it Thursday? Okay. And I'm not at all surprised. I'm also not at all surprised with the news that, like, what was it? Tommy Lee Jones's daughter as well. That whole situation that she was also, they were looking at a conservatorship. You guys remember about 2 Sundays ago, we talked about that. And now this is happening. So just interesting coincidences happening so early on in the year with these, tragedies and then the conservatorship situation. James, thank you. If you don't stop saying Happy New Year, I'm going to start. My goal is to say Happy New Year all the way to March. Monetizing. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Y'all are amazing. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'm going to stop saying Happy New Year's up until March. Would you guys get mad at me if I did that? Let me know. It's New Year's every day. Now, if I said it in September, I'm sure you guys would get mad. Thank you, guys. Y'all are funny. All right, let's get it together. So Nick Reiner was in a mental health conservatorship in 2020. So that was what, 5-6 years ago. Mr. Reiner, who is accused of killing his parents, was under a year-long legal arrangement that allows for involuntary psychiatric treatment. So Nick Reiner, who has been charged with the murder of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, was placed into a year-long mental health conservatorship in 2020, according to two people with knowledge of the legal arrangement. A clerk with the Los Angeles Superior Court said that the conservatorship ended in 2021. Steve Baer, a licensed fiduciary who was appointed as a conservator of Mr. Reiner, said mental illness is an epidemic that is widely misunderstood, and this is a horrible tragedy. Both people declined to provide further details about the arrangement, citing confidentiality. Now, hold up, wait a minute. How did the New York Times know who to contact if all of this was so confidential? The revelation of the conservatorship underscores the severity of the mental health challenges Mr. Reiner faced in recent years, issues that are likely to be central to his legal defense. Rob Reiner, the director of the movies such as This is Spinal Tap and The Princess Bride, and his wife were found, as we know, in Los Angeles at the home in December 14th. We know the conditions that they were found. If Nick Reiner were convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, he would be sentenced to life in prison without parole or the death penalty. He is being represented by a public defender and has not entered a plea. Now, there was an interview that Alan Jackson did, and Alan Jackson doubled down on the reason why he was removed. I was able to pull the article, and this was on the, let's see. Let's see, notes. I'm looking. Rolling Stone? Yeah, it was Rolling Stone. So Rolling Stone, there was an article with Rolling Stone. He did an interview or whatever where he talked about the fact that, because of confidentiality, he couldn't disclose why he wasn't going to be representing or anything like that. But also that I don't think it was necessarily monetary money related. There was something that caused a conflict for Alan Jackson to actually be able to sit and represent him, and it wasn't money wise. That's my understanding. Of course, he's not going to get into it, but this is what's been said. So let's see. Mr. Reiner, 32, has serious mental health illnesses and has struggled in weeks before his arrest with change in his medication. Two other people familiar with his health told the New York Times on the conditions of anonymity to discuss sensitive medical information. One of those people said he had been diagnosed at different times with schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder. The medication Mr. Reiner had been taking was effective. The other person said, but side effects led him to switch to a new medication about a month before his parents were killed. So was he being monitored when the switch happened? Now, apparently it says here, look, one of the other people said he had been diagnosed at different times with schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder. These two have been thrown around, okay? The Los Angeles County Public Defender's Office declined to comment, as did the representative for the district attorney's office. Then Mr. Reiner, who had battled with addiction starting at his teenage years, had been in conservatorship, indicates that a judge determined that he had grave disability, meaning he was unable to provide for his basic personal needs for food, clothing, or shelter as a result of mental health disorder. You have to be pretty severe to be placed on a mental health conservatorship in California. I call bullshit. I think that they can place just about anybody on a mental health conservatorship in California. My opinion. You have to be, listen, it's BS. You have to be very severe to be on a mental health conservatorship. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that you have to be very severe in California to be placed on any kind of conservatorship hold. I don't know if I believe that. I think people just place people on these things, especially when it came to Britney Spears. And again, people can debate, say, well, no, she's not well. Look at her now. Yada, yada, yada. No, but is she unable to control her finances? I don't know if I necessarily believe that he was so bad, that in terms of like just putting people in the bar and the eligibility to put someone on a conservatorship. They have to be so bad in California specifically. It seems to me that California is like the place to kind of put people in conservatorships, especially when they have money. So I don't know what to make of this statement, but we'll see. You said they put Britney under conservatorship all because she shaved her head off. I don't know if it was just that or if there was a combination of things. But what I'm saying is that I don't think that their bar is as high as they make it sound, if that makes sense. So this is Lee Blumen, a lawyer with expertise in such cases. Of all the people who come into the system, a very small group of people actually get placed on conservatorships. Well, I like to see some data on that. Mr. Reiner was put under what is known as an LPS conservatorship based on a 1967 law, which is called the Latterman-Purtis Short Act, that establishes a new process of involuntary psychiatric treatment in California. It is distinct from the system that is commonly used to take over medical and financial decisions, the financial decision making for people with dementia or developmental disabilities. That system drew significant scrutiny for its use in controlling the affairs of pop star Britney Spears. The LPS conservatorship typically originated from an involuntary psychiatric hospitalization and are identified by a doctor. In Los Angeles County, officials from the Office of the Public Guardian then assess whether a conservatorship is warranted and make their case to a judge. The system allows professional conservators or a person close to the patient, such as a family member, to make a decision about medical treatment, including psychiatric medications. It lasts 1 year, after which the conservator has the opportunity to try to renew it. It is unclear why Mr. Reiner's conservatorship did not last beyond 1 year. The County Department of Mental Health, which oversees the Public Guardian's office, declined to comment or provide any documentation from the legal proceedings, citing patient confidentiality. Mr. Reiner had long struggled with drug addiction and spoken about it publicly. He, did the co-writing in the 2016. Didn't everybody do this little like viral 2016 thing? What I was like in 2016 and what I'm like now in 2026. Well, that movie was in 2016. That was directed by his father and was loosely based on the family experience with his heroin and cocaine use. He had been in drug treatment about 18 times as a teenager, circling through residential facilities across the country and sometimes experiencing homelessness amid conflict with his parents about returning to rehab. He has alluded to a broader behavioral health issue, saying in an interview alongside with his father that it was more than drugs. It's really always about more than that. But he and his family have not spoken publicly about a psychiatric diagnosis or treatment. So of course we know that schizophrenia is a severe brain disorder characterized by abnormal thinking, often involving delusions, paranoia, and hallucinations. Again, I had a family member who suffered with schizophrenia, and it's, like I said, it's a life altering thing. It is not, it involves a lot of people to help manage it for sure. You need a lot of people in your circle to help you manage it. It's not that it's not manageable. You just need people in your circle to help you out. Schizoaffective disorder combines symptoms of schizophrenia and mood episodes, which can be manic or depressive. And please note, sometimes these medications can also trigger some of that. It takes a while for people to actually land on those medications. And so when you have a sudden change of medication, expect all kinds of side effects. I worry about the medications. As somebody who believes, I believe that medications can be a lifesaver when they are properly used and they are, you can totally do it. But abrupt changes instead of just sudden like teasing off of something like that, it can alter your life. I mean, I've seen it more than once within my own. So I think people need to be mindful of that for sure. And also, if he's using drugs to self-medicate for, these schizophrenia symptoms, I mean, that's also another factor to this. Nebby, thank you so much for this. I appreciate this super chat. Thank you, my love. Thank you. Shout out to Nebby. Shout out to y'all. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. You said, let's see. Prozac was amazing when I needed it. Yeah, they can be helpful, but you really need a good psych doctor. And what I mean by that is, just like you have bad doctors for everything else, you can have really bad psychiatrists that don't do well, by their patients. They just subscribing all kinds of things, right? I've seen that happen before. You know what I mean? I believe like medication can really change your life. I believe that if you take medication, you do it right, you're under supervision, following prescription orders, they can really change your life. I remember when I decided to take ADHD meds, and damn, like it changed my life in so many ways. So that's why I believe that certain medications can certainly help you as long as you take them right and you're not abusing them. My thing is like, especially for me, ADHD meds is like, they put me to sleep because they slow me down. They help my thinking sometimes. So good doctor, good medication, somebody that can help you through it. And any kind of changes in mood or anything like that should all be supervised. And please note that the mental health field is one of those fields where it's like, I personally feel like, even though we have all this regulation, supervision, reportings, licensing boards, all these kinds of things, people still fall through the cracks of things and people still get taken advantage of no matter what, right? And you could still be set up for failure. It doesn't even matter how much money you have, because really it can be a combination of all kinds of things. Money can be a combination of setting you up too, right? This treatment center, that rehab, that then leads to that and the other. So that's why it's like, it's very difficult. Anybody that's going through this journey to try to get better in control of themselves. So shout out to y'all if you've been able to do it, and because you know what that journey looks like. But anyways, most antipsychotic medications work by blocking receptors for the neurotransmitter dopamine, which affects function. like motivation, reward, mood, attention, and sleep. In most patients, they can reduce symptoms like hallucinations, paranoia to a manageable level. Okay. Now, but they have serious side effects, including weight gain, which is true, which contributes to a high rate of cardiac disease and early death among people with psychotic illnesses. Many patients stop taking the medication, saying that they leave them sluggish, unmotivated. Researchers have found that as many as half of the patients do not take their antipsychotic drugs as prescribed, often leading them to relapse and hospitalization. And please note, sometimes it happens that you've taken a medication for many years and then it stops working. So now you have to go on a hunch for a different type of medication that could set you back up. Like, this is why I say it's a lifelong thing. It's not you're literally just treating symptoms for something that you're going to be dealing with for the rest of your life. Speaking generally, any switch in medication for a disorder like schizophrenia is best undertaken over several weeks. There you go. Period. This is what a doctor said. He's a professor of psychiatry, Dr. Rose, and behavioral science at the University of California. Okay. A slow cross taper helps ensure the new medication is effective and that the old medication is not withdrawn too quickly. You can't just stop taking medication and think you're not going to be in trouble. He said, adding that the discontinuing an antipsychotic medication after long use can induce withdrawal symptoms like insomnia, agitation, and restlessness. Yeah, so apparently Mr. Reiner is being held at the Twin Towers Correctional Facility County Jail. Okay. And apparently the comments indicate that Mr. Jackson may have been preparing a defense centered on mental health. It is unclear whether Mr. Reiner's current counsel or public defender will take a similar approach. We have still yet to see. So the New York Times is just repeating things we already know at this point with this, at the end of this. I will say that there has been a lot of speculation, and honestly, I'm kind of there too, because how does he not have any blood? The hotel, that whole situation, hours after the death of their parents, right? That whole situation is so weird. I do wonder if somebody else was involved. Could there have been another person involved in this murder? Maybe he just doesn't remember. Maybe there was more. Maybe he went over to the home with other people with him. You never know. Did he do this all by himself? It's a lot of different things, a lot of different moving parts. Because I'm hearing, he's checking into the hotel. They noticed that certain areas there's blood all over, but some areas are not. So it's a lot of different things and whatnot. You said that would be interesting since both of them, I wonder if one of them woke up and not. It does make you wonder. We don't even know about defense wounds, right? We don't know anything. So I do wonder if there was something. Did they defend themselves? He just cut their throats and there wasn't any waking up to this. Several steps. Like, were there other people involved? For one person, was there other people involved? Did he have any cuts on his hands? He just changed his clothes, took a shower, and then he had nothing. I don't know. To me, it seems like unless you completely, unless you drug them, you know what I mean? Like, I have a question about this. First Liberties, that's where my mind went. Because let me tell you something. Again, I'm speculating. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Right. But it doesn't make sense. Because what I heard was that, he goes to the hotel. First of all, I go by off of that footage from the gas station where he's buying a drink. He looks calm. He looks calm. He doesn't put up a fight when he's arrested. In the hotel, apparently nobody saw blood on him or anything like that. That would make you see him. I mean, unless he was under some kind of drug or something. I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, but I do wonder if he had help. I wonder if there was other people involved. Did he drug his parents before he just decided to, do something to them? And First Liberty says, actually, that does raise an important question. Did Nick get set up? Did someone put Nick up to it? It's a very, specific type of thing. Wasn't there bloody curtains or sheets? I think they said that it was in the in the bathroom, in the shower room, but not in like all over the place. I could be wrong. Yeah, see, please be careful. You said, okay, you're dyeing your hair, but you're not driving. All right, just be careful though, girl. Be careful because you know a bad dye is a bad dye, no matter what. Bathroom, showers, and sinks was where they caught the blood, right? So he cleaned up himself there. Is that what we're saying? He no defensive wounds. It wasn't like he shot them, right? Where it's like it came so quickly he didn't even see what was coming type of situation. Like they didn't know what was coming. If he stabbed them, it would like wouldn't there be a reaction to wake up and stop and do all this kinds of things? You know what I'm saying? Like it just that, and maybe I just don't know too much about the details of the crime scene, but I do have questions about that. Right? So he checked in with no blood. That's the question that I have. So did somebody help him? And then they just left? They didn't say it was like a robbery. It wasn't like somebody went in there to go rob them, right? They said it happened like early in the morning. It's all very sus. I will say that. It does seem, could this have happened? This is just speculation. My thought is that, yeah, he snuck up on them. That's interesting. So were they in bed when he snuck up on them and then he just slit their throats? Is that what he did? It's a very interesting, because if you think about it, we're going to talk about Michael McKee, right? Michael McKee, shot Monique and Spencer Tepe, right? They didn't see what was coming. So were his parents, and not to make comparisons, but I'm just thinking of playing this in my head in terms of how they would have seen some of this coming or not. Did they know? Did they fight back? Somebody coming for you at a knife, it's very hard to slit a throat. I don't know if people know that. I'm just so much so that the person doesn't wake up, or if they do wake up, well, somebody somebody would have said something. Somebody would have been like, look, this person, he came into the hotel, we checked him in, but he's got this blood. You don't ask questions because you don't want to, become the next victim, but somebody would have called something. Unless we're talking about a hotel where you don't check in and you just check in online and you just, use an app to walk into the door. I don't know. Something's off. James, please, James. Something don't sound right. Well, if he was of sound mind, so then that just kind of throws off the whole defense. That throws off the whole what is a mental health defense too, right? We don't know. We don't have access to the autopsy. So we don't know if they had medication in their system. They could have been asleep. You're right. Like they could have probably taken something like a sleep aid or something. And that could have put them to sleep. You said, didn't he check in before he committed the murders? That's what I heard too. So you said, I think they found in separate rooms, but dad was put first. So they were both asleep. Guys, I mean, let me know what you all think in the comments. Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if the defense becomes somebody else was involved and he just happened to be out of sorts. He didn't have any defensive wounds that we know of, or at least it wasn't reported. We don't know. Did they take pictures of him after they arrested him? That's the question that we have. We don't know. So that being said, though, could very well be the case, right? Could very well be the case. They could have been slipped Benadryl and waited 90 minutes. That's true. Listen, I had to take a sleep aid the other day, and I hate taking sleep aids. Like those over the counters, like the Tylenol PMs. I had to take one because my back was killing me so bad, and I couldn't sleep. So I took one, and I was like, oh my God, it's been a while since I've taken one, but every time I take a sleep aid, I feel like I've been hungover. Like I'm just like, it's like a bad hangover for me. It reminds me of like, I partied last night. Now I got to go get some menudo so I can cure myself or something because it's just too much. Anyways, let me stop. All right. We're about to move on. You said he definitely wasn't of sound mind. He could be crazy, consciously unaware of what he did, or invited somebody else to do it. LAPD, once again, keeping the info to themselves. Yeah, for sure. The morning groggy is, yeah, you're right. It's so bad. It's so bad. You're right. All right, let's talk about Michael McKee. So we'll be following Reiner here and there as news is coming about. I mean, if there is a trial for that, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything until freaking maybe next year. Typically, that's how it goes. Reiner. Yeah, so that's on our list. Let me look at another one. Okay, Michael McKee. It's all about the charges. So the grand jury indicts Chicago doctor Michael McKee for murder of his ex-wife, her new husband in Columbus, Ohio. Now, my understanding is that over the week, they upgraded to aggravated murder. All right. So an Ohio grand jury formally indicted a Chicago man for the murder of his ex-wife and her new husband in their Columbus home in December. So you have Michael McKee, who's 39 years old, a resident of Chicago Lincoln Park neighborhood, was arrested in Rockford, Illinois last Saturday. Now he's charged with the shooting death of 39-year-old Monique Tepe, from who he divorced in 2017, and a dentist, Dr. Spencer Tepe, 37, in their home on December 30th. One of the questions that has not been answered, that a lot of people have asked, and I'm kind of there. What has not been answered is whether how he got in, right? Especially because this is like a smart home. The grand jury in Franklin County, Ohio, charged McKee with aggravated murder and aggravated burglary while using a firearm suppressor. So he used a silencer. Remember when I said that? I was like, I wonder if he used a silencer, even though they're still loud as hell. I think we were live and I had even mentioned that. I'm like, watch, he probably used a silencer. Nobody could hear anything because the neighbors would be able to hear. But depending on what side of sometimes if you hear gunshots, we had this conversation. I said, how many of you guys actually automatically call police if you hear gunshots in your neighborhood? I don't. Not to say, I mean, I just don't. Because if I don't know where they're coming from, why am I going to waste 911's time on that, right? I typically don't call 911 for gunshots or anything like that. But apparently he used a suppressor. Now, McKee is a vascular surgeon. The hospital where he works, the OSF St. Michael Medical Center, said it is fully cooperating with the investigation. So any kind of searches that he would have done at that hospital, which, somebody who was premeditating, all that kind of stuff, they're going to pull all that stuff, anything that he did in those internet systems. McKee is currently being held in Winnebago County Jail as he awaits extradition to Ohio and faces these charges. He appeared in court briefly early this week and waived his rights to an extradition hearing. Now, on December 30th, officers were dispatched, and again, they went to the wrong home. And when they got there, they found the 17-month-old, a 4-year-old, and a dog, and they were unharmed. Okay, but all of this, of course, has been very shocking for the community, but also for family and friends. And I think that they deserve justice. I mean, literally, they deserve justice. You said it depends on the distance. I'm on the edge of the town, and folks around here deer hunt with guns. There you go. So people, if you hear it, you hear it. You said, I hear gunshots all the time, and I'm a couple miles from a gun range. I got you. You said, nope. Good thought, though. Yeah, I mean, like, we typically don't. I don't. You said, I have a bachelor's degree in healthcare, and it helps me learn a lot about psychology. I'm now disabled and don't work, but take care of my special needs 18-year-old daughter. Thank you so much for the work that you do, and shout out to you, the boss bitch. Shout out to you, my love. You said, my neighborhood shot himself in the driveway during the middle of the day, and you didn't hear anything? I'm so sorry, Kelly. Like, so he just ended his life there? Oh, man. Thank you, podcast queen. Sneaking around. I mean, literally, Nebby. I lived in an area where you just don't call for your own safety. In his own car. Oh my God. That's disturbing. I'm so sorry. You said it's a long range, outdoor range, gun range. That's why I could hear them. Wow. While his wife was in the house. Oh, wow. That is so sad, Kelly. My goodness. Well, thank you, Annie. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Rough out there. Well, you take care, Annie. Shout out to Annie the Enigma. I know it's a really sad situation. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. So here we have chilling details merge as the accused psychosurgeon, they call him a psychosurgeon, Michael McKee, indicted for killing his ex-wife, dentist and Dennis' husband. So apparently, the murder counts especially include specifications accusing McKee of using a automatic firearm or silencer when he allegedly snuck into the Tepe's Columbus home in the middle of the night and shot them dead in their bedroom, leaving their 2 children and dog unharmed. Okay. So Columbus police, of course, they're describing the killings as targeted. Okay. And they were only married for, they had a very short-lived marriage. They were separated, of course, but I mean, clearly he never really got over her, right? Something was going on, and this must have been brewing for quite some time. And like we said, when we were talking about those divorce records, it seemed like everything was amicable. So it just seems so off that this would have happened, maybe even unexpected that he had been plotting and planning to do this, right? They didn't have any children or anything in their divorce, so everything was just like a normal pro se divorce, right? So no children, but Monique remarried, and she had children with Spencer, and it's just so sad overall. And I mean, I hope that they get justice. That they deserve it, and nobody. I mean, what this man took, mom, dad, a dentist, somebody dedicated to her family. Like, you took people that were really productive human beings in life. Like, that's crazy work to do that. To do that is just insane. So we'll be following that as well. Okay. We have to talk about, hold up, let me make sure I'm not going crazy. My Timothy. Guys, we got the legal documents. We got the legal documents on. Let me make sure that I'm doing this correctly because I want to follow the order. Yes. Okay. Well, should we talk? Okay, let's do this. Yeah, let's talk about Timothy Busfield's defense. So, Timothy Busfield's defense, we have the legal documents now. I was able to pull them yesterday. Remember when I was live yesterday, for those that were here, I said I was going to pull the defense filing for Timothy Busfield. And I was also going to pull the Patrick Rourke documents. Well, Patrick Rourke, I can't pull them. I have to actually order them. I have to call West Virginia. So that's going to be a separate live, maybe tomorrow if I'm able to get an update. But let's see. Timothy, let's search for these documents. So that's new defense filing. Here we go. So we were able to get the defense filing. So the defense for Mr. Timothy over here. And by the way, I mean, it was interesting because yesterday when I did my video about Melissa Gilbert's letter, some people felt like, well, she's just defending her husband type of deal. I'm kind of wondering where you guys land. Apparently, there has been no different than Danny Masterson, right? There has been letters that have been written in support for Timothy Busfield. 75 letters, kind of like how Danny Masterson had a lot of people write letters after his conviction. Yeah, people wrote letters, and Vicky was telling me that that they were making it sound like, he was like Jesus in these letters or something. Can he do no wrong? Can he do no wrong type of situation? Hey, Sylvia. Thank you. He said, Rabbit, yes, divorce, but the courts messed up. In June 2025, send out notices about their divorce not being filed. What? On the, I'm sorry, let me stop. On the McKee situation with the Tepe murders? So there was a filing mistake? But they were still divorced. What? That's the first I've heard that. Ah, interesting. I'll have to look into that. I had no idea. I mean, but she had remarried and everything, so I wonder if she knew or what happened. It was a mistake. Okay, I'll have to look into that. No idea. So, okay, sorry. Before I jump into this, Steeler Princess is telling me in the chat that when Monique filed for divorce from Michael McKee, right? that there was a there was an issue with the filing. The papers still went out, but he didn't get his filing they didn't get their filing notices until June 2025 about their divorce not being filed. That's crazy. A clerical mistake. So could that have been a trigger? Like he sees this and he's like, oh shit, this triggered me. And then that's crazy work. I'd be like, I want everything correctly and done. It was a clerical mistake. Oh my God. Ashley Banfield talked about it. Gotcha. Could that have been the thing that would have led this and then triggered something? Oh, wow. Grizzly reported it? I missed it. Okay, hold up. So that could have been a trigger? Okay, let me see if I can find. This is new to me. I had no idea that this happened. So Banfield talked about this. Let me see. Tepe divorce. No, it wouldn't have been Tepe divorce. Michael McKee divorce mistake. There was a clerical error. Oh, okay. Hold up. I want to see something real quick before I jump to this. Sorry, because I just want to make sure I understand this.
First, because not everybody knows how court dockets and clerks, work. How does a divorce that is closed for almost 9 years end up on a docket for a hearing this past September?
Well, Ashley, I told you on Monday, the best is yet to come. We don't know what's happening. It's developing every day. And I told you that more would be happening. And you can see here, this is crazy. 9 years after their divorce, we're seeing court filings and no one can tell us why. A clerical error. So I went through the docket and I researched a little bit. And if you pull up the cases, it actually has their name on it. So what I thought was, my first impression was perhaps a clerical error on a numerical, that maybe they put like a 7 instead of a 9, but they had their names on it, which means that these notices were most likely sent to Michael and Mo. So it was either that, or it was either Michael went in and tried to reopen this case. Now I can tell you why that probably didn't happen. If that happened, we would have seen something in the docket showing some type of a motion moving to reopen or a motion to enforce the judgment. So the fact that the clerk's office says it was a clerical error, we have to take them for their word. But what a nightmare, and especially on this case, and bad timing.
Let's talk mechanics first, because not everybody knows how.
I'd been like, what? What are the chances? I mean, sure. Do they make mistakes all the time? Yes. But for me, it's like, I don't know, man. What are the chances of that? That's crazy work. That is crazy. That's what I got to say about that. That could have been a thing. Could that have been something that would have triggered this man where he would have been like, haha, we're not divorced, really? I do wonder. Here's the question that I have, guys. Have there been ever any reports of, yeah, right? I know, right, Barbara? Don't forget this part, that they did like the wrong address check too. When Michael and Monique were married, was there any signs of DV or anything like that that would have led people to believe that this man was capable of at some point being explosive or harmful or anything to her? Like, that is the crazy. I guess that's the thing. It's like, were there any signs? Had he ever been physical with her? I don't know. Notices were sent to them in June. That's June of 2025 to be exact, right? June of 2025 to be exact. That's crazy. This woman remarried 5 years into her marriage with 2 children and a dog, and then all of this is happening. Like, that's crazy. Wow. Okay. You said you're not buying the clerical thing? Because courts don't punish clerks for errors, they willfully do it. Ooh, First Liberties. Okay. I thought her family said so, but I can't remember 100%. Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember either. Anyways, that's crazy work. Okay. We got to move on to Timothy Busfield. All right. So Timothy Busfield, his lawyers filed. Now, before we get into these documents, let me see if I can pull the... Hold up. We're going to pull an article real quick. So apparently, Timothy Busfield is standing firm in his defense against allegations of, what's been put out there, child essay, with strong support from his wife, Melissa Gilbert. And Busfield faces a judge for the first time. He faced a judge. We've seen that. Despite previously declaring his innocence, the actor did not enter a plea at the hearing, and the judge ordered that he be held without bond until the next hearing, which is scheduled Tuesday, January 20th. Okay. So this week we have Busfield's hearing on Tuesday. Please note, we also have the Rebecca Haro hearing on the 21st, which is Wednesday. So this week we have 2 very interesting hearings happening. We'll definitely be live in the morning with the hearing of the 21st because of the coverage that we've done. I do wonder what the chapter and the situation with Rebecca Haro is going to happen here coming up on her hearing. In a new filing obtained by the media, apparently there were 75 people that wrote letters of support for Timothy. The state's attempt to transform responsible self-surrender into aggravated conduct only underscores the absence of genuine evidence of dangerousness. This is what the defense is stating. They're upset because they're not offering him any kind of, any kind of way for him to kind of be out in the community. The motion asks that the court imprison a man based on a story that has already collapsed under independent scrutiny. This is what the defense says. Now, apparently, there's been supporters that have been writing letters of support, 75 letters total from colleagues, educators, parents, neighbors, and family. Okay. The one that stood out the most was from Melissa Gilbert, who was asking the judge, please take care of my sweet, 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 sweet Tim. Okay. And she said that this was the strangest letter that she ever had to write. She did say that. We read that as well. Who are these? Who is letters? So they're for the judge, I guess. 75 letters to a judge in support of Timothy Busfield. He hasn't even been convicted yet. We're like at the early phases of the situation. So we're already writing letters of support. People have not heard the evidence, other evidence, testimony, or anything. And already you have people of support. People have not heard the full story. And you could say it both ways. You can believe that this man, because we should all wait till we hear the full evidence. I agree, right? Whether you're here or not here for it. But to me, it's like what somebody said in the chat. I forgot who said it. He said, listen, if this man's first exhibit is CSAM, I'm out of here. I'm not supporting that. Like with the Google search. I'm not saying we need to convict him right away. I'm saying wait until the trial, starts and you hear the evidence and everything, right? If he's going to plead not guilty, wait until all of this starts. But already 75 letters for the sweet, 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 sweet Tim, who can do no wrong. Lord have mercy. Anyways, so defendant's response in opposition to state's motion for pretrial detention. That is what they are requesting. So defendant Timothy Busfield, by and through his undersigned counsel, Response to opposition to the state's motion for pretrial detention. The motion asked the court to imprison a man based on a story that has already collapsed under independent scrutiny. What is that independent scrutiny? I heard that there was lie detector tests. I heard that there was the Warner Brothers investigation. I heard that there was that actress, Elodie Young, okay, who said something that she heard something about getting even. There's all kinds of things. And then, of course, if you believe the defense, if you have an issue with the victim's parents and their past criminal history, there's that too. I mean, other things to consider. So, contrary to rule, they list the rule. The state offers no reliable proof, only allegations advanced by witnesses with documented histories of fraud, financial exploitation, contradicted by a comprehensive studio investigation. So, interesting. Contradicted by a comprehensive studio investigation. Warner Brothers. Please note that some of the witnesses in there, the employees refused to talk, were afraid of retaliation, and that was documented by the officer. And refuted by witnesses and objective risk assessments. Okay. The Constitution does not allow liberty to be forfeited on such foundation. The state's motion should be denied. So they get into the argument, citing cases. Now, let me see. Anything stands out, but the state does not treat depravity of liberty prior to a trial as an exception, as their motion, public statements, and patterns and practices demonstrate. Instead, the state has moved forward detention based not on the facts of this case or the characteristics of Mr. Busfield, but instead on the nature of the allegations that the state has lodged. Is he a risk to others? It does not help that you've had people come out and make statements. You have these lawsuits. You have documented history in terms of the civil lawsuit side. They can use that. And then suddenly you have a report from like 25 plus years ago when a woman was 16 years old and she made an allegation. Her father actually did an interview, even though he didn't show his face. It's more like a statement that he gave to the public. The polygraph was administered through his lawyers. Notice how it was not conducted by law enforcement. Yeah. His team released that info is in efforts to win over popular opinion. Yeah. It took him 5 days to turn himself in. I think he was just kind of planning to how he was going to land. You said, I want to see if the anonymous witness can be found. The one that, okay. And then don't forget, the one that triggered the investigation with Warner Brothers was somebody who called SAG-AFTRA as an anonymous person and who said that they witnessed that he had kissed a 6-year-old. And this was somebody that was doing hair and makeup. Here's the deal is that I do wonder if they can't, I don't know if they'll be able to find out who it is and take them out of their anonymity, right? Thank you so much, Sylvia. Yes, hit the like button. Hurry up. Hurry up and hit the like button. Thank you. You said Tim taking 5 days to turn himself in is sus. Yes. Okay. As further goes, allegations in state's motions are not reliable proof under Rule 5-403 of the New Mexico RA. So these are just allegations. And it's like what the DA said, that the complainants it's just allegations. I mean, the defense is allowed to prove their case and defend themselves and do what they have to do. But that's what's going to happen, right? The complaint principal witness lack credibility and presents powerful financial motives. Complaint's principal witness, is that the parent? The state's case rests almost entirely on the accounts of the two stage parents, Angeli LaSalle and Ronald Rodis, whose children were recast from the cleaning lady in 2024. These witnesses are not neutral observers. Their allegations merge only after the loss of the twins' role and only after consultation with civil counsel, which was reported on the police report, created an obvious financial and retaliatory motives. The motive must be evaluated against the couple's well-documented history of fraud and dishonesty. I don't know. they're not on trial, right? Like the parents aren't necessarily on trial. This is interesting. So if you go back to the arrest document, the reason why the parents took the children to the hospital is because they went to a civil lawyer. The civil lawyer, or at least somebody that specializes in civil cases, right, basically told them that they need to go to the hospital to have the children evaluated, and then based on that, they can move forward, right? That's what counsel gave them as advice. If you're going out there, seeking for advice from a lawyer about how to proceed to move forward, if you feel like something's been wrong, there was wrongdoing or whatsoever, that's what started that. That call, that hospital visit, that assessment then led to a call to the detectives. And then the detectives at that time didn't feel like they had enough. Okay, they didn't have enough. They kind of dropped it. Well, then here comes another call to the hotline to CPS. And then CPS getting the information by a mandated reporter, which is who? The social worker therapist who is treating one of the victims. The victim makes a bunch of disclosures without the presence of the caregiver, meaning that the provider is not there. And it sounds like there's multiple disclosures made based on what the child said. So what does the mandated reporter do? They call. That initiates an investigation. And then what happens there? That gets referred over to the detectives. So then they go back to when all of this started from the hospital. So now they're able to kind of tie things together. Okay, so this is the paper trail that it follows. Tim Busfield is not out of the water at all. Like he is still in a lot of hot water here. It does not matter that the parents are crooks, if that's what he wants to say, that they defrauded the government, whatever the parents' background is neither here nor there, because that doesn't really come into play unless there is a concern about the children being put up to lie. And in order to do that, you'd have to kind of go in there and figure that out and place that in there, right? One way or another. Has that happened before? Yes. But their background has nothing to do with the many disclosures that the victim made to the therapist outside of the presence of the caregiver. So Tim pulling all this shit, it doesn't really work for him. It doesn't. It's not going to work for him. If he thinks that I'm going to tag them, it's just not. It's not. So the order of events is that they went to a lawyer before they went to a specialist. That's right. It's got nothing to do. It's nothing. It's not nothing, but it's weak by itself. So if I've seen this happen before, right? So like Ronald, I believe, is a disbarred attorney, the father of the victims, right? 2016 or many years ago, he got in, no, not even 2016. I think it was like 2008 or something. He got in trouble. The DOJ made a statement and his name is up there about mortgage and stuff like that. Okay. Put that aside. These children weren't even born yet at that time, I don't believe, right? If the defense is going to paint a picture of like, this is a setup, my witness is Ella D. Young, who heard mom say that they're going to set him up. He's going to be a target. They're going to set him up and everything. Okay, that's fine. They could say that. That's fine. But what else do you have outside of that? The child conversations with the therapist and the forensic interview. And not only just one child, they're twins. You have another child who also spoke out and gave a forensic interview that basically said the same thing, that he had been touched. He didn't want to say anything because he didn't want to get people in trouble. And so therefore, this is why he remained quiet. That's what happened. That's what he did. So I do wonder could it be a weak thing? Could they use this as like, well, instead of just going to the hospital because you were concerned, you went to lawyers. Lawyers advised them to go to the hospital. I'm sure that they intended to sue at some point, right? To say like, you did this, like, something. But I'm kind of curious to know. You said, yep, they have. And there are ways of to scold the parents. If they testify, that could be big. If they're witnesses to it, yeah. I just don't think that we can necessarily paint, regardless of what the parents have done. I don't know how you can use that to say, unless there's like a smoking gun that says these parents set up their children to lie for this whole situation, then I guess if you're able to find that, great. But like I said, you have independent variables here. You have the child's disclosure, and then you have the forensic interview, 2 forensic interviews from 2 different children that have been they've made disclosures. Again, anything could happen, anything is possible. I'm just saying, like, this is not done just because of the lack of credibility from these witnesses, if that makes sense. Also, please know, you could even say that Elodie Young has motive to lie, right? You could say that she doesn't want to lose her job, so that's why her name got thrown under there. You could even say there's people that didn't want to speak out. One specific person, I think she was a producer, who said, I don't want to talk. I'm not interested. People were concerned about retaliation. That's all documented too. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how this goes. I just don't think that this man's out of the hot water over the parents, the victims' criminal history. Parents, not victim, the parent victim's criminal history. Yeah. So Mr. Rodas is a former attorney who was convicted of a federal conspiracy and wire fraud and was later disbarred following the prosecution for a multi-million-dollar scheme in which he used his law license to deceive vulnerable victims for profit. They included that as exhibits. Lord have mercy. So you can actually read this off of the DOJ's website. It is very, very public. The children's mother, Angeli, has equally disturbing history. Ms. LaSalle has had multiple civil judgments entered against her for fraudulent and dishonest behavior. For example, in 2011, Ms. LaSalle was sued by Lee Marks in Orange County Superior Court, and they have a case there for various claims, including fraud, conversion, fraudulent transfer, among others. Okay. The underlying facts were that Ms. LaSalle entered a written contract to sell Mr. Marks' 2006 Bentley for $91,880. That Mr. Marks took possession of the Bentley after paying the full price. And Ms. LaSalle then had the vehicle unlawfully repossessed. Oh, shit. And then traded the Bentley in for a 2007 Porsche 911, which she registered in her mother's name. Oh, my God. Well, they get down, don't they? There was also judgments against her for and her domestic partner for unpaid gambling debts that incurred in Las Vegas. Criminal charges were filed against LaSalle and her domestic partners for writing bad checks in casinos. In casinos? Y'all are writing bad checks in casinos? Ooh. See, I didn't even see this part. The complaint also alleges that when the Bentley was traded in, one of the documents provided to the dealer was a trade-in history report signed by LaSalle under penalty of perjury, in which LaSalle represented that no one other than LaSalle had any claims or interest in the Bentley. The claims against Ms. LaSalle proceed to trial. On August 5th, 2013, the judgment was later entered in Mr. Marks' favor. Okay. So that is there. And as the bad checks issued by Ms. LaSalle that were referred or referenced to Mark's case, undersigned counsel was able to obtain copies of it. So they had there was a application to register a Nevada judgment against Ms. LaSalle in California by MGM Grand Hotel and the another hotel. The application includes Nevada judgments, return for dishonest instruments. So they have some history, all right, in the civil side. The fact of the matter is that the parents driving the allegations against Mr. Busfield have an extraordinary checkered past that casts enormous doubt on the truthfulness of their statements, and the same pattern that has been defined their past appearance here. Following the termination of his children's lucrative role, Mr. Rodas sought civil counsel first in California and then in New Mexico, initiated contacts with law enforcement, and positioned himself as the architect of allegations designed to support a civil recovery. The timeline mirrors his prior conduct, leveraging a crisis to generate personal financial gain. all good, but I still, in my opinion, believe that none of that really is going to, unless they can figure out that that they set up these children to lie, how this plays a part, I don't know. This is not speculation, rather than an independent investigation in 2025 found not only that allegations against Mr. Busfield were unfounded, but also that Angelique, after hearing that her children might not be returning for a fourth season, stated to the show's lead actor that she would get her revenge against Tim Busfield. Okay, so that was Elodie, who spoke to the Warner Brothers investigation but didn't want to speak to police. The independent investigation was the second commissioned by Warner Brothers Studios after receiving an anonymous complaint that was filed in February 17 of 2025. Now, this anonymous complaint, again, this is a separate child. This is not related to the victim. That was a 6-year-old child. Somebody saw, and they were very, they remain anonymous, okay? So, Mr. Busfield on February 17, 2025, and on July 1st, 2025. Exhibit J. Is that another report? See, I didn't know this. I'll have to check this out. Okay. Both reports found that the complaints lack corroboration. All right, but in the second report that addresses each of the allegations that form the foundation of the criminal complaint and undercuts them one by one, despite the state having possession of this report, which negates every one of the state's allegations, the state omits it from both the criminal complaint and the motion for pretrial detention. The report's finding fatal to the state allegations are corroborated by independent witnesses. Okay. So then there's one here that says Chris Ford, a security guard and driver for the show, principal actor, was present when Mr. Rodas and Miss LaSalle were out to lunch with the show's head actor in Corrales in the spring of 2024. At that time, the parents were learning of the possibility that their children would not be asked to return for the fourth season. And also, it sounds like they were kind of over the show. Like they had been there for a while, so they were like done. When discussing the issue, Miss LaSalle became visibly upset. She told the actor that if her children were not brought back, that she would get Timothy Busfield and have his ass. So here's another witness to the ass comment. Now you have Elodie Young, and now you have Chris Ford, who heard it too. These reports are consistent with both parents' history of scamming and with the timeline within which the allegations arose after the children were not cast for the fourth season. But Ms. LaSalle and Mr. Rodas are not the only witnesses within the state's complaint whose statements should not be accepted as reliable proof. In addition, the Rodas family, the state relies heavily on the statements of two sisters who worked for the time on the set of The Cleaning Lady, Taylor Trujillo and Lauren Trujillo. Those witnesses are critical to the state's allegations that Mr. Busfield touched people on the set and that he was ever alone with the twins. An allegation squarely at odds with the weight of the evidence as explained, but those witnesses, like the Rodas families, are not impartial observers. Instead, Trujillo sisters worked on the set only until the spring of 2023 when they were both terminated. So he's saying that these other witnesses, I remember the name Trujillo right here. He's saying that these witnesses, the reason why they're speaking out is because they were terminated from their positions as productions assistants. In addition to being fired from the set, the sisters like to get involved in drama. They inject themselves into a lot of situations that they do not need to be part of and are involved in spreading rumors. Wow. They never said that they were terminated on that affidavit. I'm just saying, on that arrest warrant. They never really said that. They never really disclosed that. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. I guess, because I never even, unless they dug deeper, their allegations. Everybody's wrong except sweet Timmy. Everybody's throwing themselves under the bus. I'm like, what? They really said they insert themselves in drama and they spread false rumors. I'm like, oh my God. This was their first major film job, and they were juniors in the role. They were close with LaSalle family and would always hang around the parents on set. Oh, shit. Their accounts, as explained below, are readily and repeatedly contradicted by other witnesses. Accordingly, the state reliance on the Trujillo sisters, disgruntled former employees closely aligned with the LaSalle family, cannot supply the reliable proof required by the rule. Instead, underscores the need to examine the independent investigation that followed. Okay. Independent investigation undermines every allegation in the complaint. So the twins' shared roles, the twins' shared role was officially recast September 2024. Between that time and the summer of 2025, plaintiffs sought out and hired a plaintiff attorney in California who wrote and provided a draft complaint for damages to the independent investigator who had been hired by Warner Brothers. Interesting. That investigator interviewed core members of the cast and crew, including the director, showrunners, script supervisors, 2 studio teachers, 2 members of the hair department, producers, parents of a second child actor, 2 producer assistants, and the show head actor. After conducting an independent and impartial investigation of then anonymous complaints against Mr. Busfield, the investigator was unable to corroborate any of the allegations, stated that, in fact, every witness was shocked by the allegations that Mr. Busfield engaged in inappropriate conduct of sexual nature or otherwise, especially towards a minor children. So this shock was not only the result of Mr. Busfield's observable character, but also of the patent incredulity. I can't even read. Y'all, I'm like making a word. Sorry. As for Mr. Rodas' allegations that his children were recast because they refused Mr. Busfield's advances, the investigators found that Mr. Busfield does not have the power to terminate actors. Oh, okay. Instead, only the showrunners had the authority to terminate the twins, which he did with the approval of the studio and network. So they weren't terminated by Busfield, they were terminated by the studio network. That's interesting. Yeah, what happened to the teacher watching, right? You said, from what I'm told, you can't force someone to take medication if they don't want to. Oh, you're a little behind on the thing. Okay. So he can't replace people. The other allegations fare no better, as the allegations repeated in the criminal complaint that Mr. Busfield asked the children to call him Uncle Tim. The investigator found no evidence to support the claim. Yeah, but didn't they like go together to like Christmas? Like they had like Christmas gifts and different things and whatnot. Let's see. Indeed, the show's lead actor, who had developed a close personal relationship with the Rodas family, told the investigator that the only time she heard anyone referred to Mr. Busfield as Uncle Tim was when she heard Ronald Rodas do so. She explained that she heard on more than one occasion Mr. Rodas say something like, "Boys, stand next to Uncle Tim so I can get a picture." The account is consistent with those witnesses not included in the report who have stated they regularly observe Mr. Rodas encourage and tell the children to hug people on set, which was not allowed to do. So here's a direct quote from the director of photography. "The twins' parents were odd. The father, Ronnie, creeped me out. He was pushy, manipulative. He would force the twins to give me a hug every single time I saw him on set. He thought I was important, and it seemed like he wanted me to really like the boys, and I always thought it was very creepy, unhealthy to force a child to give someone a hug. Ronnie was very overbearing. He had a power business alpha male attitude." This is a direct statement from Defense Witness Exhibit K. It's an affidavit, okay? The independent investigator similarly found no evidence to corroborate the allegations that Mr. Busfield treated the twins differently or groomed them. In fact, apart from being one other female minor, and no other minors were regularly on set, and therefore no one to whom one could compare Mr. Busfield's treatment. Moreover, the minor female parents adored Mr. Busfield, as did their parents. So the young girl's father shared that he and his wife would anxiously await the release of the call sheet and hope Mr. Busfield's name was on it, because he was always made because he always made them feel at ease. Mr. Busfield was always patient with their daughter and took time to ensure she was comfortable and ready for the shoot, ready before shooting a scene. So the state's insinuation that every kind of extended towards a child by an adult constitutes, can't read, grooming, making an actor of all ages feel comfortable on the set is a hallmark of Mr. Busfield's professionalism and skill as an actor. Okay, so he wasn't being creepy. He was just being skillful and trying to make people feel comfortable. And finally, as to the allegations that Mr. Busfield isolated the twins out of sight and sound, the investigator found that there is virtually no time that a minor could be alone with an adult who had neither their parent nor the studio teacher. Studio teacher's role on set extends beyond simply shooting the minors. They are on set to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of the minor per the SAG-AFTRA rule and regulation. But wait a minute. That contradicts the statement about the teacher who was in the other room that people were saying, and the kids were running around and they were, bumping into people and stuff like that. It says each studio teacher goes through extensive training and all are mandated reporters. None of the studio teachers and the investigators interviewed as part of this investigation or prior investigation of the anonymous complaint had ever seen Mr. Busfield engage in behavior they thought raised as red flags or caused them concern. Had they observed any questionable behavior, each empathetically stated that they would have reported it immediately. It's crazy how Busfield too got nervous when he was asked by the detective, "Did you know these kids?" "Yeah, and then he went from, "I didn't know them," to, "No, I didn't. I don't remember them. I don't know them." He knew them, but don't know them. They, Melissa Gilbert was part of this call as well. So that's interesting. This is consistent with the numerous witnesses who reported that it is inconceivable that the alleged conduct could have occurred on set because the numbers of crew that are always around working. It is very difficult to be alone with anyone on set. And this is when the child is alleging a lot of this happened, was on set. When working with the director, I'm with them 100% of the time. Every decision the director makes affects what I do and requires that I coordinate about 50 people. So this is Mr. Claudillo, photographer, director of photography. It's a direct statement from him. And that is part of their exhibits. I cannot get through all of this. So I'm going to probably have to do a video where I review all of this. I didn't think it was going to be 19 pages. Lord have mercy. Yeah. And that way I'm able to edit it quicker. Oh, okay. 18. Yeah, it is 19 pages. I'm going to have to do this independently just to follow through. I'll do a pre-recorded on this because it's a lot to review. They're contradicting everything that the arrest warrant has, but the question still remains. And I guess you have to get the therapist, the mandated reporter on the stand. They're going to have to get that person on the stand and kind of go through it and call out whatever needs to be, interview her and do all kinds of things. That's the only way to do this. Because even though you have these witnesses and they're refuting all this, it doesn't mean that they're off the hook here, y'all. He's not out of hot water even then. You still have the forensic interview and you still have what the child said to the therapist. You have to figure out what to do with that. And then those forensic interviews could be brought into question too, as witnesses. I've seen a case like this similar, where allegations were made and stuff like that. And you had independent, forensic interviewers and stuff like that. And I've seen something like this very similar, where they bring everybody. I mean, it sounds like, and you would think that the person was found not guilty, by the way, but it sounded very like they had enough. And based on what the jury saw, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It all really comes down to the kind of defense you have for something like this. He's not off. He's not. And then you have the other cases, and I think that the court, being as cautious, they might say like, no, you're going to stay here unless we can figure out how to monitor you. But if the DA's office is saying we don't have anything to monitor you with, And so therefore you need to stay incarcerated. Then that could very well be the case. The children are 11 now. They're 11. So this is interesting. I'm going to review this independently in a video. I feel like it'll be better that way because I can read it quickly, and that way edit anything that I'm missing out. Because this is new information. Now, I don't know if they didn't attach the exhibits, but this is the state's thing. Let's see. We'll start. I think we could start from page when we review it. Shoot, what page? Where did I start? Yeah, page 3. I'll put a marker on there because that's a lot. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about, you said I did not have relations with those boys. How old are the children now? They are 11. Let's see. Hey, let's talk about, and it wasn't like a whole lot of time that I wanted to spend on this because it's kind of like crazy, right? So, D4VD's, I don't know what she is to him, supporter, fan, girlfriend, maybe girlfriend, best friend. She was live on Twitch, right? And she didn't say anything, like she hasn't been live in a while. So she was live on Twitch, and I personally, I don't think that she said anything that would have been like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is where we're at, right? And everything. But she was live. She's kind of, I think she was live for like a good 2 hours or whatnot. I saw that. You said weirdo. You're stranded at the airport? Oh my gosh. Hope you get your flight. You said I was on that Twitch when it was going. Personally, personality of a dish rag. These people are not interesting. Well, I mean, she was there and I'm just like, so yeah, was it weird? Yes, it's weird, right? Like it's weird, the girl's back on social media, she's probably just trying to get her life and everything. I mean, I just don't know. To me, this is how I am, y'all. Like if there's an elephant in the room, I can't act like the elephant is not there, especially when the elephant is like sitting on that coffee table and I see the elephant there and it's like there's a huge ass elephant that's right there and we gonna act like it's not there, right? That you're live. Like this is, people are gonna ask you questions about this, right? Hey Flojo, you think it's attention seeking? The reports are calling her jealous. Listen, I don't even know between her and the other guy, Neo. I could see D4VD playing a part here where, he has Celeste groomed, allegedly, right? Groomed child. He has Celeste in his corner while he's messing around with these 2 other individuals, right? You have to, like, they're always very close, they're always hanging out. You think that they didn't know that she was underage? I have a hard time believing that. You said because I posted it. Did you? Shout out to you. She banned me so quickly. Did she? I mean, you think that they don't know, and then like I just think that they knew. They had to have known and everything. I mean, it's just so weird, Hold up, y'all. They had to have known, I think. I think we're just plain stupid. But she goes live and it's like, yeah, I don't know. You said, yes, she did what I was on the chat. Stands to no reasons for good judgment and character, unable to discern child's age. Well, it makes you wonder though, because they were in like a friend group. I feel like they knew. I think like a lot of people knew and they just didn't do shit about it or really care to do anything. It is weird, Team Brittany. All of it is just weird. It's like complicit, but They probably felt like, well, what can we do about it type of situation. But okay, so she goes live for like 2 hours, and I don't think she really addressed anything. I'm not gonna sit. I can't sit there and watch her for 2 hours. I'm just like, really, what are we doing here? I don't know how you go live for 2 hours and not. I just wouldn't. I don't know. You know. Act like nothing's going on. Literally, we've been waiting. A lot of, the public's been waiting and whatnot. We want to get an update. A lot of us are here. We want justice for Celeste. Yeah, so weird. And say nothing. I don't even know what to think about this case. Well, I think that hopefully with more, literally we're in January, so I think in March we'll find out more details and then we kind of go from there. You were talking about Aysia, First Liberties. YouTube crashed on you? Oh no. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. So we'll see. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to say about her. I think these people, Neo has not been live, so keep that in mind. He hasn't been live in God knows how long. This is the go live generation, right? This is a different generation of kids. To me, this is like he must be itching, but I think that he knows he's in trouble, so he can't. See, he's just like, I'm gonna keep a low profile type of situation. She wants to be famous, yeah. She might have not played a part in a lot, but I think that she was well aware of what was going on for sure. So it's just like the audacity, girl. Like, go live, do your thing, and act like there isn't a full-on investigation, grand jury and stuff like that. And who knows? Was she the one refusing to testify too? There's that. Something to keep in mind. She's working. You said she's working at 9 to 5. Got to supplement that income one way or another, right? Y'all are funny. All right, guys. I'm going to let you guys go because I got to go tend to baby bunny. I got to go do some stuff too. It is Sunday. I hope you guys are having a great day. And, you guys take care of each other. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We definitely tackled a lot of topics that I needed to catch up on. There's more that I need to catch up on. But I want to read this defense filing and maybe release it tomorrow if I have time. Because I'm also working on some other things and whatnot. Let me know what you guys think. You said she doesn't believe that. She's online too freely to be hiding. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think that there's anything like charges on her that'll be coming down the pike. I think she just knew, but just didn't say anything. If anything, I think that it's going to be D4VD and Neo, but we'll see. We'll see, my friends. All right, friends. I will hold up. I'm trying to check mark my list. I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys. Bye. Hit the like button. Bye, guys.